students. For today's video, we will be discussing on income and business taxation, which is solving. So we are done with the two videos discussing all about income and business taxation. So now in this video, we are doing the solving on how we are to come up with the income tax payable, which is payable to the Bureau of Internal Revenue. So first and foremost, we will be talking about the tax table. So for the tax table, as you can see, mayroong basic over, not over, tax, plus, and of excess over. Okay. For this table, itong basic over and not over, it is the ranges of the income generated by the business. And then, ang kukunin mo na tax is eto, the range. So for example, if the income generated by the business is 10,000 to 30,000 in range, so ang tax niya is 500 pesos. And then, if may over pa nun, then 500 less the income generated by the company. Pag may over pa nun of excess over, example, may over siya na 10,000, so times mo ng 10%, ang nakuha mong 10% plus the 500, that would be the income tax payable of the business. So furtherly, we will understand how to get that when we are doing the solving. And we will furtherly understand the use of this tax table during the solving. Okay, so balik tayo sa kung ano yung mga taxpayer. We have two types of taxpayer, right? The corporation and the individual. For the individual, we have different types of individual. We've already discussed these types of individuals. So in terms of basic personal exemptions, apat lang yung allowed for the 50,000 pesos basic personal exemptions. And then, yung dalawa is not allowed. For the additional personal exemption, yung tatlo lang ang pwede or allowed for the 25,000 additional exemptions for the dependent. If isa yung anak mo, may 25,000 ka na less. If dalawa, may 50,000 ka na less, aside from the 50,000 which is the basic personal exemption. And then, tatlo rin yung hindi allowed. So, furtherly, if you wanted to understand more about this type of individual taxpayers, na makikita or ma-understand nyo yan dun sa income tax, income, business, and taxation part 2 na video. Okay, so let us proceed. So, this would be the problem na gagamitin natin para malaman ninyo how to come up with the income tax payable, which is payable to the Bureau of Internal Revenue from the income generated by a business or by a taxpayer. Okay, so these are the given. We have given for compensation income in the Philippines, compensation income in Japan, business income in the Philippines, business income in Britain, business expense in the Philippines, business expenses in the Britain. So this is the amount. Okay. In this problem, it is stated that the individual is married with 3 dependent children, meaning may tatlo siyang dependent. So, from the 50,000 pesos na basic personal exemption, meron siyang additional 75,000 pesos na exemption from the 3 dependents na kanyang mga anak. Okay, and then the required problem is compute for income tax payable if the taxpayer is a resident citizen, non-resident citizen, resident alien, a non-resident alien engaged in trade and business with no reciprocity, non-resident alien engaged in trade and business with reciprocity from foreign country that gives 60,000 pesos personal exemption to Filipinos in that foreign country. Then non-resident alien engaged in trade in business with reciprocity from foreign country that give 30,000 personal exemption to Filipinos in that foreign country, and non-resident alien not engaged in trade or business. So those are mga i-compute natin or type of individual of how to compute or how to come up with the income tax payable. So let us now proceed on solving the first is the resident citizen. Una niyong isusulat ang kanyang income. So ang kanyang income in this problem is the teka lang. Compensation income for the Philippines, which is in the amount of 400,000. And then another compensation is from the Philippines, from the Japan. So compensation income for Japan in the amount of 350,000. Okay. Next income is for the business income. So yung compensation income is as an employee yan. And then for the business income is the operated business, okay, in the Philippines, which is 900,000. Next is the business income in Britain in the amount of 100,000. So these amounts are all in pesos na, right? So in all in pesos, and then you will total it. So you will write for the total is the total gross income. So total gross income. Okay, so the total gross income is 1,750,000. Next, the same with the statement of comprehensive income, ililess mo yung business expenses. So for the business expenses, we have business expense for the Philippines in the amount of 266,000, and then another business expense for the Britain in the amount of 37,000. So if you are done with all the business expenses, you are to proceed with the basic personal exemptions. So these basic personal exemptions and the additional personal exemptions are to be deducted to the total gross income. So parang pribilehiyo mo yon as a taxpayer na may maliles sa iyong income, which is may maliles para maka-generate ka ng iyong taxable income, which is doon manggagaling kung magkano yung tax na babayaran mo to the Bureau of Internal Revenue. So let us proceed. For the basic personal exemption, so directly may 50,000 ka na less. Okay, may 50,000 ka na less. Now, it was stated in the problem that the taxpayer has 3 dependent. So it means na kada dependent na meron ang taxpayer, meron siyang 25,000 of each of the dependent. So 3 man ang kanyang dependent, so meron siyang 75,000. So you will write here additional personal exemption. Okay. Sinushorten ko yung mga words kasi maliit yung board natin para ma-write it down ko lahat within the range ng ating board. Okay, for that, you will now to solve for the taxable income, which is, kung makikita mo yan sa statement of comprehensive income mo, ito yung tinatawag nating net income or net loss. Okay? So, yung net income at net loss, for the loss, hindi mo kukuhanan yun ng taxes. Kasi loss ka nga, paano ka babayad ng tax to the government. So, ang gagawin mo is, ang kukunan mo lang is the net income, or shall we say, for the taxes is the taxable income. So, the taxable income, if 1,750,000 less 266,000 less 37,000 less 50,000 and less 75,000, it would be 1,322,000. So that would be your taxable. So we've already solved for the taxable income. Now from here, we will now use your what is this? It's the taxable, the tax table. So the tax table. So the taxable income is 1,322,000. So in using your tax table, diba, ito, two columns are the ranges of the taxable income generated by the company. Now, for this problem, dito ang range niya, 500 up to magkanong income na na-generate niya. So, 500 to up to that. And then, ang kukunin mong tax niyan is the 125,000. So, you will proceed here in your solving. So, on the first 500,000, write it down. On the first 500,000, you will now get a tax of 125,000. Okay, from that, this 1,322,000, ililess mo siya sa 500,000. Okay, from that 500,000, so you are done with the first and the second and the third column. You are now to proceed of using the fourth and the fifth column. So, ang iyong 1,322,000 less 500,000, meron pang 822,000. It means na of excess over 500 siya. So, dito pa rin siya na range. It means na yung 822,000, you will multiply it with the 32% to get another tax amount. Okay. So, balik tayo dito sa solving natin. You will write it down on the remaining 822,000, kukuha ka ng 32%. So, magkano yan? It's 263,040 pesos. Okay. So, from that, you are done with getting the taxes from this taxable income. Okay. So, ang ito-total mo lang, ito lang dalawa. The 125,000 and the 263,040 pesos. So, it is 388,040 pesos. So, this is your income tax payable. So, ito yung amount na babayaran mo to the BIR. So, it's that easy, right? So, with the help of your tax table, this tax table, madali mong makukuha kung magkano yung income tax payable ng isang taxpayer. Okay, so this is how you are to solve for the resident alien. Now, we are to proceed with discussing how to solve for the non-resident alien. We are done with solving for the resident alien. So we will now proceed for the the resident citizen. So we are now to proceed for the non-resident citizen. So as you can see, kanina, pare-pareho lang yung processes of solving. Okay? You will first to solve the total gross income, you less the business expenses, the basic personal exemption, the additional personal exemptions. But for the non-resident citizen, you are only to solve for the compensation income in the Philippines and the business income in the Philippines. So, yan lang mga amount na income from the Philippines ang isasama mo to get the total gross income. And then, you will less the business expenses, the basic personal exemption, additional personal exemption. Now, if you get the taxable income, the same process. You are to use your taxable, the tax table. So, on the first 500, because as you can see, di ba ang range pa rin niya is 500 over. So, ang range niya sa income is 500 over. So, on the first 500, ang nakuha na taxable income, ang nakuha na tax is the 125,000. Now, if you are to less 909,000 less 500,000, meron ka pang 409,000. So, on the remaining 409,000, kukuha ka ng 32%. Ang kanyang tax is the 130,880,000. So, you are to add 125 with 130. So, the income tax payable is 255,880. So, that is for the non-resident citizen. Now, we are to proceed with the third type of individual taxpayer, which is the resident alien. For the resident alien, as you can see, it is the same process and the same total gross income and business expenses and basic personal exemption and additional personal exemption for the non-resident citizen. So, same lang yung process nilang dalawa. Ang different lang yun is the resident citizen. So, now, let us proceed with the next type of individual taxpayer, which is the resident alien engaged in trade or business with no reciprocity. Okay. For the compensation income, the same. So, resident alien man siya. Diba? Sa babaw, this is also a resident alien. So, ang kinuha lang yan na total gross income is the compensation income in the Philippines and business income in the Philippines. So, resident alien engaged in trade and business with no reciprocity is compensation income in the Philippines pa rin, the 400,000 and business income in the Philippines. So, as you can see, pare-pareho lang ang processes. But the difference is with no reciprocity, meaning hindi siya allowed for the basic personal exemptions in the Philippines and the additional personal exemptions in the Philippines. Okay, I am sorry it's a non-resident. Di ba kanina sa problem natin na given na may N dyan. So, it's a non-resident alien engaged in trade and business with no reciprocity. Okay, so next is the hindi siya allowed. So it means ang maliles lang sa kanyang total gross income is the business expense. And then pag less mo ng 1,300,000 to 266,000, makukuha mo ang kanyang taxable income ng 1,034,000. So the same, the range of the taxable income on your tax table is 500 to over. So ang nakuha niyang tax is 125 immediately. And then, from the remaining 534, i-multiply mo siya ng 32,000. Ang kanyang tax is 170,880 with the 125,000, it is 295,880, which is the income tax payable to be paid to the BIR. Now, let us proceed to, so mabilisan lang to, no? Kasi alam niyo na yung processes on how to compute, right? So, let us now proceed to the non-resident alien engaged in trade or business with reciprocity from foreign country that gives 60,000 personal exemption to Filipinos in foreign country. So, kanina sa baba, sa taas is walang reciprocity. So, wala siyang basic personal exemption. Wala din siyang personal exemptions. So, in here, sa baba, for the non-resident alien engaged in trade and business with reciprocity from foreign countries, merong ibinigay na 60,000 pesos. Okay. From that, as you can see, same yung lang process because it's a non-resident alien. Non-resident alien pa rin. So, compensation income from the Philippines and the business income from the Philippines ang kinuha for the gross income. And then, the business expense in the Philippines lang yung iniles. And then, the basic personal exemption which is 50,000. Bakit hindi natin ginamit yung 60,000 na binigay na reciprocity ng foreign countries? It is because here in the Philippines, ang ating basic personal exemptions is 50,000 lang talaga. So, from that, from the 60, ang gagamitin lang is the 50,000. So, mag-abide tayo sa law ng ating taxation dito sa Pilipinas. And then, the same process goes with the getting the taxes. So, the processes are all the same. Okay? As you can see. Now, let us proceed with the last example, which is the non-resident alien engaged in trade and business with reciprocity from foreign country that give 30,000 personal exemption to Filipinos from that foreign country. Okay, the same lang din yung mga total gross income na kinuha. Compensation income in the Philippines and the basic income, business income in the Philippines rather, and then the business expenses and the basic personal exemption, which is the 30,000 given from the foreign countries nga 30,000. Okay, bakit hindi natin nilagyan ng 50,000? Kasi nga 30 lang naman din yung binigay, 30 lang din ang ating ibibigay. It means na kung ang reciprocity na ibinigay ng foreign country is lalagpas ng 50,000 lang yung i-honor mo na basic personal exemptions. Pero kung below 50 siya, kung ano yung nailagay na reciprocity from that foreign country, which is pareho nitong problem na 30,000 lang yung ibibigay mo. And then, the same processes on getting the income tax payable. So, this is how you are to solve for the income tax payable on the different types of individual taxpayer. So, I hope you learned something, class, on today's video. I hope it helped you a lot, especially on solving the taxes on each of the individual taxpayer. So, thank you very much for watching. I hope you learned something. See you on the next video. Good day.